All right, let me say this again. So, there are 6 kids in this family. We don't know exactly the day when they went to the grandparents, unless it was this day on the 19th. But if you are bringing 4 kids into a van from that distance, how do you know what exact 4 kids it is? Now, I'm not saying it was Orrin and Orson were there. I'm just saying, how do you really know? So here we go. These boys are off on the time. The 19th at 15:45 hours and 19 seconds. They left at 11:30 a.m. Okay, 11:30 a.m. 11:30 a.m. Now, if we do the 15:45 and we convert it, that is 3:45. Okay, that is 4 hours. A little more than 4. It's only 45 minutes to an hour there. That left them with 2 hours, give or take, in Bakersfield or wherever they went before the van returned. That's the point I'm trying to make. Some people need to step back and look, because that's 4 hours and some change. A lot can get done in that time. So it wasn't like they got to Bakersfield, they were there for 5 minutes, supposedly, and they left. Alright guys, let's hit the comments. My favorite part before we wrap up this video. Okay, first comment we have is Mari Deathy Deals. This is awful. I pray no more evil. Who would kill these beautiful little boys? Sadly, we probably know. I think the only alternative is that they sold them, and I would rather them be sold and found than no longer on this earth. It's very sad. Susie777, the bag they found in the desert was a bag that was left in front of the house with the candles and balloons. There is a picture of it on the Facebook page for the boys. Thanks for the update. Yes, I have seen that bag. DMG Soul Togetherness. I think the local police are overwhelmed by this case, like they have limited resources and bodies on the ground. Well, hopefully the FBI has stepped in. And I just pray that, I think we're going to have answers sooner than later. Arrow Doe, the statement the West Watkins family recently released does nothing to quell my worries. If anything, I am more suspicious of the adoptive parents and more certain that they have guilty knowledge of what actually happened to those little lambs. I agree. No mention of the boys' names, no physical description, no expression or concern for what Orrin and Orson must be experienced, but lots of complaining about how hard it has been for the family. Bashing of the birth mother, and yet zero information to help identify, locate Orrin and Orson. I agree. People have came at me about why I'm defending the mother and Ryan Dean. I'm not defending the mother. I'll explain my thoughts on that in a second. Sassy Scouser, with these 2 bodies being found burned, makes me wonder if the adoptive father collecting wood is the only truth he's told. You know what? I have not heard anything about the little bodies in Mexico. I have looked, and when you actually go, there is so much crime in Mexico and burnt bodies, and I've never seen anything like it. I was actually going to call up to Punta Norte and see if I could get some answers, and I think if those were actually the little boys by now, we would have found out, unless maybe, how would they know? Did the little boys have any dental records? I mean, they don't even have their big teeth yet. Samara, hey girl. Thank you for the clarification on when the boys were last seen. Many people are reporting that they haven't been seen for months, but that debunks those statements. Sharon Van Cowan, thank you for all your effort. All the background information, maps, etc. are so helpful. Love your work, MM from Perth. Aw, thank you, Sharon. I love the Australians. Yarnfield crew, this is so sad. I am holding on to a glimmer of hope, but have a bad feeling it's not going to be a good outcome. Poor little babies. I agree. Oh, I'm going to get this one wrong. Zoo Liga hand slip. Praying for those two sweet little boys. Very heartbreaking. Thank you for the awesome content. Thank you for watching. Just Angel. Hey, girl. God, I pray these babies are alive, but they haven't been seen nor found in over 2 weeks in that bag. How did it get out there? So they found 2 possible bodies in Tijuana. They sure did. I'm 20 minutes from that border. If it's not them, who are those 2 bodies? So sad. Thank you, Monkey, for covering this delicate case. You're welcome, girl. I'm going to call Tijuana. I'm going to try to call the Punta Norte. And you know what, Just Angel? Send me an email. My email is in my description. Email me, because maybe we can do a call on 3-way and you could be my interpreter, because I know you speak Espanol. Kathy C., you tell them. My heart breaks for these poor babies. God help them to be found. I agree, Kathy G. Either way, let these babies be found, and let whoever did what they did to those poor little babies be prosecuted to the fullest. These babies are no longer part of this world. Joe D. Sutton says, so sad. I wish I could be positive, but I did that in 2020 and none were found alive. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a good outcome. I mean, it's been so long. Misty Day, it's a cruel world. Yes, it is. A Mag, the gift bag is in another video. Sitting with candles, KGET News, YouTube channel, 2 missing boys. Yes. City here is what we know at 126. Thank you, Mag. I have definitely seen everything that is out on these little boys, but I'm just not going to speculate. Rhonda L. Go to Awakened Starseed Tarot. She helps FBI and all other crimes. I agree completely with what she says. Love, blessings to all. I am going to go check that out, Rhonda, as soon as I finish this video. Pamela O. How I hated waking up seeing this. Olivia B., the only thing about the gift bag that was found is that there were several others outside the house with memorials just like it. Yeah, there was candles, memorials, teddy bears, signs. So, somebody, maybe the parents went out at night and creeped out in the dark of the night and put the bag out there. But then the surveillance camera of the neighbors. Yeah, the adoptive parents are very, very sketchy. D. Keller, I need a news report that said the 2 charred bodies are from part of the Mexico drug war that's always raging. Yeah, when I started looking into the 2 little bodies that were found in that area, and I could not believe how many charred bodies and buried bodies are there from the Mexican drug wars. It was crazy. But I'm still going to call just to verify and make sure that they have an identity on those babies and they're not part of the West Boys situation. About 5 hours with traffic. You're right. My thoughts, Patty Herman, 5 hours with traffic. My thoughts, Will Laughlin. The adoptive father started the interview with, it was cold. Small children want to go inside if it's cold. They don't like to be in the cold, as their small bodies get cold faster than grown bodies. They were playing with chalk, so they had to be sitting down or close to the ground. They would have gotten cold even faster, meaning wanting to go in. They were outside for a couple of minutes, according to them. How are 2 small children vanishing in a couple of minutes in the dark with both parents at home? Don't forget, one allegedly had a broken leg. If they are so small and it's dark and cold, they would be terrified to go where mom and dad are. They would want to go inside, and if they can't or aren't allowed, they would go to the closet house and try to get inside. Wherever they would want to go, they would go together, the one waiting for the other, so it would even take longer for them to anything or get anywhere at all. Why would you wrap presents with the smallest kids outside? Why not put them in front of the TV, as children wouldn't even bother about barely anything around them when the TV is on? They would barely look around. If they were taken and picked up by a stranger, the adoptive parents would have heard the car, especially the father, as he was outside, and the kids would have screamed. How is a stranger kidnapping 2 kids at the same time? It's not happening. 2 kids who the adoptive father described as rambunctious. Don't get me started with him bashing the boys while doing this interview. And the way that he had his hands tucked up under his armpits, like his hands did not move. Like he was in that total Chris Watts, I am guilty stance. Where was I? That was very unkind and inappropriate. I agree. If they were rambunctious, they would have put it right or screamed very loud and people would have known who came with the whole kidnapping solution. Because to me, nobody believes the story of the adopt parents. I definitely don't believe it. If they came up with it by themselves, they sure are looking for a solution outside themselves. How convenient, as the suspect always wants to come up with solutions in replacement of themselves as a suspect. If you are not guilty, you wouldn't mind that much of being a suspect first, as it takes the investigation to move forward to other options once you have been excluded, and brings you closer to finding the real suspect. The adopt parents never said the boys' names, not once in the interview. Huge red flag. I agree 1,000,000%. They always distance themselves by saying, out boys, the boys. I had to look on YTube. I had to look on YouTube to find out how their names are supposed to be said properly. I agree with you. Their interview totally gave it away. The stepmother's rocking back and forth and her paranoid in her face. It looks to me like if she is the one, I think if you get on her and drill her hard, I think she would be the one that's going to spill the beans. But you need to get her away from him. The introverted socialist. I like that name. I have an eerie feeling that they were killed inside the home, put into some type of storage container or bag, which could be why their scent wasn't picked up outside. Then driven to Mexico and burned. People are just wicked, man. I don't know if those little bodies in Mexico belong to Orrin and Orson. I'm going to pray they don't. But we will find out. I'm going to go ahead and investigate more into those bodies that were found. Erica Gray. The adoptive parents did it. The AD says he checked the house along with the AM, then got in his truck and drove up the street. Wouldn't a normal reaction be to search on foot? Yes, it would, Erica. And after you watch the surveillance cameras, like those guys point out, he didn't even go to the fence line. He didn't even look in that field. He literally went into the van, took his time, and yeah. He probably only did that because he knew there was a surveillance camera. These were two toddlers. If he thought they were silently kidnapped, then the gate being open or closed wouldn't matter, and he must have been in the house a while for the kids to walk out of a standard yard area. Plus, when they learned the biological mom accused them of foul play, they said they would think the same thing, and her reaction is understandable. Yeah, I heard that. What? I am a foster mom, and God forbid anything happened to my foster kids, but I would not understand why their parents would believe that I did something to contribute to their disappearance. I'd be appalled and insulted. The boys were missing before they moved to California, which explains why the neighbors never saw them. Either that or the parents planned their disappearance for a week ago. That explains why the other kids are at the grandma's. I agree on some of that. The only thing I'm not sure of is how they are, like the video camera that I spoke of earlier. 4 kids go in the van. You don't know you just really don't know exactly what day they went missing. Because I said it when we were watching the video. From that distance, if they have 2 other kids that are maybe that size, how would you know which 4 kids were being put into the van? And those guys had the time wrong, as far as it only being 15 minutes that they would have had to have spent in Bakersfield. Julia Weber, it was the adoptive parents. They are trying to get away with murder. Oh, I agree, but they won't get away with this. Georgia Argy, oh dear God, right? Pamela Hewitt, Hearts. Sophia Prayer and Purple Heart. 1970 bus driver. This year is nothing compared to what's coming. Why do you say that? You think we're going to have a crazy 2021? Hey, mommy of 3 girls. This whole case gives me the creeps and seems very fishy. I don't trust the adoptive parents nor the biological mom or her family at this point. I find it fishy how bio mom and her family have came out pointing fingers at everyone and anyone without any kind of proof. Where was bio mom for the year and a half those babies were in foster care? And the year or so they were in the adoptive stage. It's not an overnight process to adopt children, and the state gives you plenty of chances to make your wrongs right. Where was the concern then for these babies that there is now from bio mom? Oh, hang on. Where did I go? Or a year and a half the babies were in foster care. It's not an overnight process. 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm not buying either of their stories. Sorry, not stories. Someone knows something about these babies missing. These babies didn't have a fighting chance, in my opinion. I believe bio mom is loving the attention and fame from this tragedy. Also, she sees this as a monetary gain to her. Just my opinion, though. I do believe these babies were snatched from the yard, and dad turned away from them longer than he is telling. If adoptive parents were guilty, then cops would have them in custody by when the foster care. The bio family isn't supposed to know where the children are or living due to safety issues. So did they find the kids' adoptive parents? We fostered kids years back, and it was a huge concern that the bio family would find us or them. Some parents will do anything to go to any lengths to get their children back. No one knows because there is nothing out there right now, but in my opinion, everyone needs to be looked at, because focusing on one person gives the person responsible time to cover their crime. Also, they say they suspect stays close to the case so they can be one step ahead. Who knows? CPS doesn't take your children for nothing, and it's crazy how it's never their fault, like the bio mom blaming someone else for them losing the boys. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying her BS story about why she lost her kids. I pray they find the babies alive and safe. This breaks my heart and those precious boys, because they didn't deserve this. It's not a great neighborhood, rumors say, so who really knows at this point? This whole case makes no sense to so many of us. I really hope the adoptive parents aren't guilty, because my heart really believes them, and here they claimed happened. It only takes seconds for someone to grab your children and go. It happens often and more than we realize. All it takes is for you to turn your head or take your eyes off them, and it happens just like that, fast and gone without explanation. I don't want to blame someone right out without proof, because it could mess their life up, reputation, or ruin their lives, which isn't right. I mean, their home, which is the boys' home, is being vandalized based off speculations, and that's not cool at all. We should be using the energy and effort to find those precious babies missing, instead of acting like some people are. Those acts won't bring them back in prayers. So do you think that maybe the biological mother had someone kidnap her baby so she could get them back? I'm going to disagree on the part where I do not think the two kids were snatched out of the backyard. I could see one kid being snatched, but not two kids. And he said that the kids wandered out the gate and it was getting dark and he was outside getting firewood. They wouldn't have wandered anywhere away. If they wandered to the gate, they would have went to their adoptive dad. But that's my opinion. Julie Krienka, arms crossed, closed posture, not telling the truth. I agree. Lily C. And back to Mommy of Three Girls real quick. The adoptive parents and the biological mother, some say they know each other, some say they don't know each other. I do know that when I went back onto their addresses where they live in Bakersfield, that they live in the same neighborhood. Lily C. Why, when is Child Services going to start doing serious mental health checks on people who are fostering, adopting? The statistics are staggering on abuse in foster care, but these caseworkers are so overwhelmed with too many cases, they don't give the proper amount of time to any of them. The system has been broken for decades and desperately needs to be fixed. Please, God, let these boys be found alive. I agree. Cool Beans, I agree. I don't think the boys are anywhere local based on the lack of searches from LE. Gannon also stays with me. It will be a year pretty soon. Bless all those babies who have been killed in one place. They should be safe and people they should trust more than anyone. Love your channel. Thank you. I agree. It really is, I do not know how anyone can watch those step-parents in the interview with the stance of the Chris Watts tucked under the armpits, her rocking back and forth, and if my kids went missing And I knew that right away. I would have been running up and down those streets, screaming their names. My wife would have, well, not my wife, I guess if I was the husband, but my husband would be probably out there right with me. One would be on foot, and one would probably be on the van, and one would be calling 911 as you're looking for your boys. It doesn't add up. Love your channel. Ah, thank you. Great job, Julie Krienka. Thank you. May Day. The mother lost the boys because she was smoking marijuana, but she has a cannabis card, yet the social worker wasn't having it either way. So the biological mother took it to the judge with a physician's letter. The judge denied her request and put them up for adoption following the social worker's recommendation. The judge should be accountable. If that is the truth, I totally agree, but I also heard, yeah, right here, I also heard that the kids were taken out of the house because the mother went to work and somebody that was watching the kids broke one of the boys' legs. Let's see what having... You know what? It doesn't matter how she lost her babies, Ryan Dean. It doesn't matter. Here, this is my opinion. People are always coming at me saying, why are you protecting the biological mother? I'm not protecting the biological mother. Obviously, the biological mother had to do some pretty screwed up crap to lose her babies. I get that. What I said was, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the biological mother smoked weed, was a prostitute, was a stripper, was an ex-murderer. I'm saying those were her children. She carried them. She gave birth to them. And that's something that you cannot take away from her. In my opinion, I don't think the biological mother had anything to do with the disappearance. And if the biological mother is on the scene, then she knows those babies. Let me read this article that actually came out today real quick about what the biological mother says. Okay, right here in this little section, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's turning into a repeat now, unfortunately. The brothers Orrin West 4 and Orson West 3 had been put up for adoption by their biological mother, Ryan Dean, shortly after they were born. Orrin and Orson had been living with Trezell and Jacqueline West in California City at the time of their disappearance, according to the outlet. So, speculate why. There's 3 stories now why the mom lost the babies. There's different stories of, it's just the speculation. I am going to stick with the facts and things that I see that are not adding up in my mind, and I'm going to share them with you guys. And with that, guys, there is nothing else on this update. I am going to call over to Puente Norte and see if I can do it without a translator. And if not, I don't know. All right, guys, but with that, it is a wrap. I want to thank you all for coming in. Thank you for watching. Please like or dislike, whichever you prefer, and subscribe. Everyone have a good day or a good night wherever you are in the world, and stay vigilant. I am out.